This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather. Ho there. Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, January the 23rd, in the year 1983, the 1983 AFC title game took part. This would be a key game for both the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets to get to the Super Bowl. So, in a weird move, Saturday was the previous day, January 22nd, had the NFC title game on, like at 12:30 in the afternoon in Washington. But it's strange how it was played on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, for some strange reason. Well, the Redskins beat the Cowboys 31-17 to go to the Super Bowl, meaning that whoever won the next day at the Miami Orange Bowl would be going to the Super Bowl against the powerful Redskins. Anyway, it was a odd, rainy, and muddy Miami, Florida, because Miami doesn't usually get rain that much. But it was huge. And the fact of the matter that Miami actually ended up not covering the field as much with the tarp led to a lot of bad situations. So rain was in the forecast in Miami for 19 Celsius, 67 Fahrenheit. The game started at 12:30 Eastern Time with Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen on the call for NBC. So anyway, it was a wet and muddy field. One guy would actually be the main catalyst for this game, why it's one of the most memorable games in NFL history. So anyway, New York got the ball first and drove to midfield, but was picked up. Richard Todd was picked off by Glenn Blackwood, who was a good, strong safety. Anyway, Miami gave the ball back after a bad pass by David Woodley to Ken Shroy. And no, this was not when Dan Marino was with the league. Marino was drafted in the 83 draft, but that was after the season. So nothing came about. In the second quarter, David Woodley ran for a 17-yard play, which was actually the longest run by either team. Worst of all, the next play, Miami lost the ball. Tony Nathan, the reliable running back, fumbled, and the Jets had the ball. Anyway, Miami had a chance at the New York 20-yard line to do something about it, but a bad pass by Woodley to Shroy, who made his second interception, made the score 0-0 through 2 quarters. The mud would be really huge and all that. Well, anyway, early in the third quarter, Blackwood had another interception, but because of a defensive holding penalty, the Jets retained possession. But after all, Todd threw a pass that bounced off a running back's hands and ended it for A.J. Dewey, who made the play. So, anyway, after an unsportsmanlike penalty got the ball to the Jets 7, Woody Bennett ran the ball in the end zone for a touchdown, 7-0. And then Dewey, later in the third quarter, intercepted another pass. Miami could not do anything with that. But 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, Todd threw a wobbler, and A.J. Dewey took flight with his third interception. Not only was it his third interception of the day, it was a pick six as he ran it in for the touchdown, and the Dolphins were at 14-0. Jets could not move, and the Dolphins were going to the Super Bowl. The Jets were adamant because, after all, why the heck did this have to happen to them? They figured that Miami purposely made the field muddy so that it would slow down their wide receivers, who were pretty good and all that, and who were catalysts after the Jets shocked the Raiders in Los Angeles 17-14. So that was that. And all that. Now, a lot of people said, oh, Miami definitely had it. But the fact of the matter is, Miami got bit too. I mean, both teams combined for 9 turnovers and 19 punts. So it was kind of hard on Miami too, because they couldn't get much going either. But still, 14-0 when the Jets don't score a point. All that. Anyway, the Dolphins would not have a shutout against the Jets till 2020, the pandemic season, if you will. But the fact of the matter was that the Jets cried foul, and I don't blame them one freaking bit. I mean, after all, they were looking good and all that. However, karma would bite Miami in the butt because because 7 days later there was a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was the next week. Dolphins versus Redskins at the Rose Bowl in front of 130,000 fans. Dolphins were up 17-13 through three quarters. They were doing good. And then John Riggins with that busted up running play, barreling through the Dolphins, set the tone for the Redskins to get kind of revenge for Super Bowl VII when the Dolphins beat them. And then 10 years later, in the Rose Bowl, the Redskins got revenge on the Dolphins for that Super Bowl loss. So maybe Washington does beat the Jets. Like, the Jets have a legitimate beef with this Mud Bowl. And it's kind of weird because it's the second straight year that weather would ruin the AFC title game in a sense, because the previous year was the Freezer Bowl when the Chargers and Bengals had to play in wind chills that far exceeded below 0 Fahrenheit. And the Bengals won that game and went to the Super Bowl, but then lost to the Niners. So the Dolphins won the Mud Bowl, but then lost the Super Bowl. So maybe it was just desserts. That's just how I feel. Anyway, I'm going to do.